This makes Jim Crow look like Jim Eagle.
And I want to understand white rage, and I'm white.
Somebody had to do it. I am the chosen one. Somebody had to do it.
Mic check, mic check. Welcome back, welcome back. Thank you all for tuning in one more time. Appreciate you hitting that like button for me. Go and do that right now. Go and do that. Thank you so much. Like, share, and subscribe. All the things. Please do all the things for me. And I want to get into this conversation. There was an article came out from Axios magazine talking about the Democrats strategizing, you know, the powerful, shadowy figures who, they're the people who really plot the course of the Democratic Party every election cycle. And they are thinking about their need to really secure the white vote. And the best way to do that in a lot of their estimation is to go with a white male candidate. The Democrats feel as though they need a strong white man to get these coloreds in line, I guess. I don't know. We're gonna listen to this whole article breakdown. Here's some of the different commentary on it. Obviously, I have my thoughts on this. We'll get to all these things in a minute. Like, share, and subscribe. Throw $1 in the hat for your boy. We are gonna get this thing going.
Okay, y'all. So some top Democrats are quietly debating whether the party's best bet for winning back the presidency in 2028 is to nominate a man, specifically a straight white Christian man. Former First Lady Michelle Obama fueled such talk, saying that the United States is not ready for a woman. Democratic strategists have put it bluntly, saying that it has to be a white man. I agree with Michelle Obama. I don't think the United States is ready for a woman. But the DNC needs to understand one thing. The Democratic Party will not be done with Kamala Harris until Black Democratic voters say we are done with Kamala Harris. And as of right now, Kamala Harris has the majority Black vote. And that's just a fact. And I would love for somebody to tell me how any Democratic candidate can win a national primary without the support of Black people. It ain't happening. Specifically Black people in the South. Okay, let's be clear. You are not winning a South Carolina primary, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia without Black people supporting you. You're just not. And also the fact that the DNC is frantically trying to find them a straight white Christian man just proves the fact that Kamala Harris did not win in 2024 because of misogyny and racism. Because if it had nothing to do with her gender and nothing to do with her race, why do we need a white male straight Christian to be top of the ticket in 2028 if race and gender had nothing to do with why she lost?
Hey, it is what it is. She wasn't white enough. She wasn't male enough. And she wasn't Black enough either. That is the goddamn shame when you think about it. Kamala has the unfortunate reputation of being neither white enough, man enough, or Black enough for any presidential office. That's crazy work when you think about it, because that's the big reason why she didn't get the Black vote like that, because a lot of Black people were like, I don't know. You tested the spirit of the Black vote by putting this ambiguously colored woman on the ticket as Black. And so a lot of people, shout out to Candace Owens. She was doing a deep dive on her nannies and her grandmammies and all these things. And we found out some uncomfortable things. We learned some things about the color of her melanin we just don't care for. We are just uncomfortable with the nature of her melanin. And so she really wasn't getting the Black vote like you really expected. Then there was, obviously, she's not a man and she's not white. Lots of things went wrong there. Lots of things went wrong. Unfortunate for Kamala, though. But the Democrats, I guess they are really, after all of these years, by the way, of basically beating up on the idea of the white man. I mean, hell, they tried to put Trump in jail. They sent 2 or 3 bullets at his head. They basically tried to just obliterate not only the idea, but a physical living effigy of white man. And I guess they're sorry now. I guess they feel like maybe they went too far. Let's tone it down. Let's pull back and pretend that we really need white guys again.
So thank you all for being there for us. You stepped into a role that carried a preconceived idea of femininity and wifedom that was founded on the landmines of racism and misogyny. What the First Lady wears is one of the main ways, which you've already said, that a First Lady is talked about. It comes with so much historical expectation. How do you feel about the fact that the First Lady is an archetype for wifedom and femininity?
Yeah, I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. It's, it is a completely throwback on, it's a definition that has no current status in how women actually show up in the world today.
Do you think that that impacts the room that we've made for a woman to be president?
Well, as we saw in this past election, sadly, we ain't ready. That's why I'm like, don't even look at me about running, because you all are lying. You're not ready for a woman. You are not.
I'm not ready. I'll never be ready. There's no amount of alcohol and lube that'll ever make me ready for that type of situation. You just will never catch me ready for that. I'm never gonna be ready, ever.
We ain't ready. That's why I'm like, don't even look at me about running, because you all are lying. You're not ready for a woman. You are not. So don't waste my time. You know, we got a lot of growing up to do. And there's still, sadly, a lot of men who do not feel like they can be led by a woman, and we saw it. What was the question?
I just
And Michelle Obama, this is like, older commentary, obviously, but she speaks as if being led by a woman is automatically a virtue. Men should just be led for, the first time in human history. You want to make it a virtue that men are going to be led by women. And frankly, I think it's because you're black. It's literally a black thing.
There's this myth out there that black men can't handle being spoken to, and told what to do by black women. Black men come from our bodies.
Yeah.
So they're used to having these conversations with women.
The matriarchy is strong with the black
It is
community.
very strong.
we don't need to ask it again. You answered it. Femininity, wifedom.
Yeah. I mean, I think we still have growing to do in that regard. And, we can see how progress can be made and things can be snatched back when it comes to us owning our power as women.
Now, this has been a very unfortunate political season for black women ever since Trump got elected. It's been rough. Black women have been taking all manner of losses politically, socially, legally. I think there was a woman in Florida, a black judge in Florida. I think the governor is trying to get rid of because she's too woke. Like, the pressure has really been on for black women, and they were really on the political ascension. Obviously, there was the whole Obama era. It was like, Black Camelot, and the expectation was that Michelle Obama would maybe lead black women into a new glorious era of political dominance, and she was like, nah, I don't think I want to be all that political. And then Trump came along, and now it seems like all the gains that she's describing, all the gains that black women and women of color and this whole progressive movement, all the gains seem as though they're about to be wiped out. And I think what the Democrats are considering is that maybe we should actually start talking to white men, white people, and them. We got to start talking to white people, because they tried it. But they really haven't made a good go at it. This was the best they could do.
To improve people's lives. But I also was on the ticket, quite honestly, because I could code talk to white guys watching football, fixing their truck, doing that I could put them at ease. I was the permission structure to say, look, you can do this and vote for this. And you look across those swing states, with the exception of Minnesota, we didn't get enough of those votes.
But you could give me
They used Tim Walz to give white guys permission to be cucked by Kamala. If he can do it, you can do it. And it didn't really work. But that doesn't mean they are going to quit. No, they're not going to quit. When was the last time you seen a Democrat talk to an entire room full of nothing but white people?
The American dream is unaffordable. It's inaccessible.
Not Ned nigga in sight. Oh, there's one.
Living in their parents'
It's
basement.
like looking for
Mom and Dad
Waldo.
sell that house. The kid in the laundry comes with the house, and that's wrong. Just one story. When I got out of college, I made $16,500, got an apartment on Cornelia and Halstead at $3.25 with utilities. My son is in the Navy, making 4 times what his father made, and he could not afford an apartment without housing assistance. This is crazy. And it's on both parties, all of us. We made owning a home a luxury, not a status and not an example of having made it. 2, the 401k is supposed to be about saving, not to backstop your paycheck. People are taking money out of their 401k because it's money they haven't gotten a raise. And saving for their kids' education has put them in a vice between a second job, a second mortgage, just to give their kids a shot. And finally, you know, my dad was a pediatrician, my mother was a nurse. My dad was on call every Thursday. If he wanted a second healthcare opinion, he called another healthcare professional. Today, the insurance companies are your healthcare professional, and they know one word in the English language: no. Have you ever heard them say, you know what, we're gonna give you another test? No, those are the pillars that make this up. And it's become unaffordable, and we know that. We know that as Americans, that if we cannot have a system as a country where 10% of the kids get access to the American dream that they inherited, and everybody else gets to look through frosted window glasses at what people have made. And lastly, 50% of our kids across this country can't read at grade level. And what does Washington do? Shrugs its shoulder. Used to be an national emergency if 20% could. Now we've just kind of gotten complacent about failure. We've lost our nerve, and we should not lose our nerve. This is a great country with great potential. And more than that, you invest in America and you invest in the American people, and it will do great. So restoring our confidence and capacity, restoring the belief in the American dream, and remembering we're one country, one nation.
I don't think since before the Obama era, you could find a prominent Democrat in a room full of like 99.9% white people, even in New Hampshire. 2 years ago, under the Biden administration, if he'd have had that meeting, they would have dragged out a fat Native American woman, a midget from Mexico. They would have dragged out an entire circus of diversity just to prove a point. But now I want to be seen talking to the white America. And it seems like there are just changes on all horizons that Democrats and everybody has to respond to.
Industry has to support the warfighter. The one thing, though, that I think even now is underestimated by all actors in industry, and including in Silicon Valley, is how disruptive these technologies are. If you are going to disrupt the economic and therefore political power significantly of one party's base, highly educated, often female voters who vote mostly Democrat, and military and working class people who do not feel supported, and you feel like you believe that that's going to work out politically, you're in an insane asylum. Like, that you cannot have it. This technology disrupts humanity's trained, largely Democratic voters, and makes their economic power less. And
even AI is having a political effect, because apparently a lot of the kinds of jobs that AI can easily replace, a lot of these clerical office type repetitive jobs, it seems like a lot of these people who have these jobs are Democrat voting females, Democrat leaning women. You're taking the money away.
Increases the power, economic power of vocationally trained, working class, often male voters, and so these disruptions are going to disrupt every aspect of our society. And to make this work, we have to come to an agreement of what it is we're going to do with the technology. How are we going to explain to people who are likely going to have less good and less interesting jobs from their perspective? And how is it that we're going, and by the way, on the military thing, these technologies are dangerous societally. The only justification you could possibly have would be that if we don't do it, our adversaries and will do it, and we will be subject to their rule of law. So if you decouple this from the support of the military, you're going to have an enormous problem explaining to the American people, why is it that we're absorbing the risk of disrupting the very fabric of our society, including the most powerful parts of our society, if it's not because it's about maintaining our ability to be American in the near term and long term. And
AI is coming for everybody. I was came across this video from the BlackRock CEO calling the woke era a failed experiment.
Do you believe the woke era a failed experiment? The ESG, the DEI, the kind of push for that. That when you talk about things now, you talk in a practical sense, what we can do, what we can get done. Looking back at that, how do you see it?
Society moves, the pendulum moves all the time. In BlackRock's cases, we are responsible for managing money for everybody. And even today, as you said, maybe these, renewables are less talked about it. I can tell you right now, we have many investors worldwide are investing in renewables, trying to emphasize solar and other things like that. We're working with Occidental Petroleum right now to building the best carbon capture factories in Texas right now. So do I believe the pendulum 5 years ago was too far? Yes.
You do.
I believe we're more I'm personally more pragmatic too. And I believe.
But do you think BlackRock pushed some companies a little bit further left than you thought?
It was never our intention, because our job is I got to be a fiduciary to everybody who gives us money. Our responsibility,
it was never our intention to force you people to get woke and then go broke. BlackRock made money. A lot of other people went woke and went broke. There's a lot of backlash, right? There's a lot of backlash also to, this giant corporate beast buying up properties, private residences, venture capitalism, all these things, all this magical money industry. A lot of people just are over these corporations, and they realize that a company like BlackRock is responsible for a lot of the weirdness. Like right now, the NBA is going through a little bit of a scandal. This kid Jaden Ivey having a little bit of a religious zealotry moment, began questioning why the Chicago Bulls has to celebrate Pride Month and all that, and so the Bulls got rid of him. Because everybody's woke now. You have to support minorities and diversity and homosexuality and all these things.
Is to making sure if one of our investors wants to invest 100% in hydrocarbons in Texas, I'm investing 100% of the money in Texas. But if another state fund wants us to invest in, let's say, all green energy, we're going to do that. It's their money. But today, because of AI, and the overwhelming need for power and electricity, it can't just be one way right now. It can't just be hydrocarbons. So if you see what China is doing right now, China is rapidly building more nuclear than any other country in the world. They have the largest solar fields in the world, yet they're the biggest importer of gas.
So you can't be woke and beat China at the same time. Interesting. Because a little while ago, just not too long ago, it was like 2 years ago, you were forcing everybody to do all this woke stuff.
You now make a point of that's an investment criteria for you.
Well, behaviors are going to have to change, and this is one thing we're asking companies. You have to force behaviors, and at BlackRock we're asking companies. You have to force behaviors, and we're asking companies. You have to force behaviors, and at BlackRock we are forcing behaviors. 54% of the incoming class are women. We added 4 more points in terms of diverse employment this year. And what we're doing internally is if you don't achieve these levels of impact, your compensation could be impacted. Okay,
we're doing the same thing.
And so it's just you have to force behaviors. And if you don't force behaviors, whether it's gender or race or just any way you want to say the composition of your team, you're going to be impacted. And that's not recruiting, it is development, as Ken said. And ultimately, it's still going to take time, but I am just as much shocked as Ken is that we have not seen more opportunities. And we're going to have to force change.
All that force didn't really work out the way they wanted to. Now there's like a backpedaling happening.
John Fetterman admits what no Democrat wants to say. Senator John Fetterman just opened up about the Democratic Party's woes in a 13-minute conversation with Puck News' Tara Palmieri, detailing its self-inflicted wounds and warning that the damage may be beyond repair. The conversation started with the confirmation of Attorney General Pam Bondi, to which Fetterman admitted she was qualified for the job as the only Democrat who voted for her in the process. Quote, she was the Attorney General of the third largest state, Florida, in the nation, and she was a DA for 17, 18 years. So in terms of qualifications, she absolutely was a serious person. He says, and in her politics and other issues, I wouldn't agree with those things. So if everything is a no or everything is a freak out, if you refuse or demand purity in every interaction, then you're never going to get anything done, Fetterman said. Again, very balanced approach, very surprising from Fetterman. The discussion then shifted to Trump and his plans for Gaza, which Fetterman admitted might not be such a crazy proposal after all. Fetterman called Trump's idea provocative, but said it forces a very more honest conversation of Gaza. With 90% of the housing destroyed or severely damaged, he asked, where are you going to live? What are folks going to do? He pointed out that Gaza has no utilities, no water, no kinds of structures. Just add here that a lot of people were cancelled for saying this previously because the claim was that they still had all their utilities. But I digress. How can you live in just a destroyed war zone? Fetterman asked. Where are you going to live? And if you don't have electricity, what about sanitation and those kinds of things and other basic services? As for claims that Trump's plan is a real estate grab, Fetterman shut that down. He said, I don't personally believe that they're going to turn Gaza into a Trump Plaza kind of situation. Next came the burning question. Why are voters abandoning the Democratic Party? Fetterman blamed the party's shaming and scolding, including calling Trump supporters fascists and dopes. He argued that this name-calling has caused them to lose the argument and, more importantly, voters. Let's take a listen to this clip.
Why is the Democratic Party viewed as toxic by so many? Like, even people inside the party acknowledge that.
I think their primary currency was shaming and scolding and talking down to people and telling them, hey, I know better than you, or you're dopes, or you're a bro, or you're ignorant, or, don't you, how can you be this dumb? I can't imagine it. And then, by the way, they're fascists. How can you vote for that? And, when you're in a state like Pennsylvania, I know and I love people that voted for Trump, and they're not fascists.
By the way, I've had a lot of debates and arguments and discussions in Black YouTube, the Chitlin circuit and whatnot. And that's exactly how it goes over there. It's just a bunch of maybe a little bit more entertaining name calling, but still just name calling, dodging a point, just mudslinging, character assassination, that type of thing.
They don't support insurrection and those things. And if you go to an extreme and you become a boutique kind of a proposition, then you're going to lose the argument, and then we have done that.
Then the bombshell dropped when Fetterman admitted the Democratic Party had fractured its relationship with white men so severely that he's not sure if it's possible that it can be repaired. Take a listen.
How do Democrats win back white men like yourself?
I don't know, and truthfully, I'm not sure if that's possible, to be honest. I think that's been seriously eroding for a while.
Democrats now miss white men. They want their original boo back. You ever missed your ex before? The Democrats want their ex back, and I don't know if he's coming back. Brad might be gone for good. He's gone forever.
And in some cases, in the conversations I've had, a lot of people, they don't even want to say it publicly, but they just feel like, the other side seems like it's like men, that men's the problem, men are to blame, or their masculinity is toxic, or unless you're able to conform to our very strict kinds of definition of what we think's appropriate, well then, hey, I'm going to find an alternative, and they've done that. That's absolutely true. And
shout out to the manosphere in particular for being one of the primary online repositories of all things toxic masculine and male censored and niggas just doing a little bit too much even. We wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you niggas on your microphones with your podcast and whatnot.
And once we've kind of turned their back on that demographic, it's going to be difficult to rebuild and replace that with those voters, because I think that migration has been ongoing phenomenon for several years, and that was been in front and center, in part of the election in 24.
The article goes on to say this is actually devastating because white men comprise 34% of the total electorate in the 2024 US presidential election. When you account for the fact that a large chunk of young men aged between 18 to 29 flipped from Democrat to Republican in just one election cycle, the situation looks even more bleak for the Democrats. If they stay on the path of alienating men, the trend of young men flipping sides will continue, keeping the Democratic Party out of the White House for years to come.
I thought this was America, people. You still need white men. I hate to break it to you, but we're not that woke. We're not that progressive. We haven't hit utopia status yet. You still need your white men. I don't make the rules. I'm just here reading the news to you. The Democrats have a picture of manhood, though, and most men just don't want to go along with it. The Democrat picture of manhood is like weird and funny looking.
Where are real male Democrats in Texas? I don't know. If you are a straight white male as a Democrat, you have to simp in order to get elected. You have to simp to trans, to illegals, to the feminists.
Look, another bow the manosphere has to take. Why do you think a word like simping has made it all the way into the political lexicon? Do you think feminists who hate men are the reason why they're talking about simping on Fox News? The manosphere has altered the political language. And as your language alters, your mind alters as well. We are literally rewiring the mental pathways of American politics right now. Take a bow. Pat yourselves on the back. Couldn't do it without you.
Where are real male Democrats in Texas? I don't know. If you are a straight white male as a Democrat, you have to simp in order to get elected. You have to simp to trans, to illegals, to the feminists. Planned Parenthood's going to be jerking this guy around on a leash. The story hour weirdos are going to be jerking this guy. They roll over, sit, good puppy. The guy's a pet. He's a skinnier Walls. He's a Newsom without the hair grease. They can't make these guys in the real world. This guy is a Texas woke preacher / teacher that went to Harvard and is on The View and thinks there's 6 genders. Who cooked this guy up? Netflix? Schumer? Stephen Colbert? Just so that they can beat someone like Paxton? These people don't exist in the real world. I don't even think he owns a gun. I bet he's a vegetarian.
Wow. I bet he's a vegetarian. We gotta use that. That feels like a proper insult. It's like man-to-man shit. Don't ever say that to me. Don't you ever call me a vegetarian. Oh, that was dope. But you know, the Democrats have been, like I said, they've been at war with the very idea of men and masculinity, manhood, all things male. All things male. The Democrats are just not really they're not really feeling men at all lately. Unless you're like gay, you know, maybe if you're like, you know, disabled or whatever. But just to be blunt, the Democrats and a lot of their proxies, and frankly, a lot of their voters have been like virulently anti-white male. It's on the TikTok, it's on the Twitter, it's on the cable television, the news, everywhere. They just let you know how much white men are the problem, the blame for everything, how much they individually dislike white men in particular, and how much you should hate white men too. This is how the Democrats have been conducting themselves and how they've been communicating their vision for ever since the Obama era, really.
Let's not be trying to play games with these kinds of small things to try to pull us into a direction. All that matters in this election, and I genuinely mean this, all that matters in this election, the only thing that matters in this election is keeping Donald Trump and Project 2025 out of power, keeping that insane ideology of white Christian nationalism and white supremacy and white male Christian dominance out of power. That's all that matters. I genuinely don't care who the Democratic nominee is. And I'm being real. I don't care. If it's Biden, fine. If it's Kamala Harris, fabulous, right? But it's going to be one of the two of them. Let's just not play crazy games now. There are rules the way that this process works. It's one of the two of them. Either one, I don't care. Or you want to parachute somebody else in and they're not him, they not the orange one, they not the one who quotes Hitler, fine, put him in, I don't care. Because all that matters, I'm going to say this to y'all again, all that matters in this upcoming election is that you keep that man and that Project 2025 plan out of power. That's all you need to understand. And to do that, you are going to need to vote against the party that has embraced white Christian nationalism. The Republican Party is gone. It has been replaced by Project 2025 and MAGA and Trump. That's all that's left. That party is gone. And that means you have to vote against that letter, R, all the way down the ballot. You have to keep them out of power at the state level, keep them out of power at the federal level, or remove them from power at the state and federal level. That means anything with the R on it is toxic. Anything with the R on it is going to take your birth control. Anything with the R on it is going to make you register and take the military preparatory test in high school so that you're ready to be cannon fodder for them, to be deployed on the streets of the United States to shoot Americans who are protesting. They're going to take away your education. They're going to take away your opportunity to go to college. They're going to take away your books, your history. They're going to take away your right to even know the history of this country. They're going to replace it with so-called patriotic education. They're going to get rid of the Department of Education, meaning no more Pell Grants, no more money for school, no more student loans, no more equality for girls' sports. All of it gone, replaced with this white Christian nationalist insanity. And they want to do that not just federal, but state. The Republican Party at the state level is just as bad or worse. Baby, ladies, gentlemen, friends, nothing else matters. Okay? Nothing else matters but stopping Trump, the Republican Party, and Project 2025 in November. You have 119 days to get right with that and get comfortable with that. That's all that matters. Okay? And the only way to stop them is with our votes.
You know, there was a time when MSNBC in particular, they had Joy Reid, they had Tiffany Cross, and they still have a few other lesser known Black TV show hosts. But they were really, really like fanning the flames against the white man, how awful white men are. And then they got rid of Tiffany Cross and they got rid of Joy Reid. And it seemed to be, now looking back, you know, foreshadowing a shift against this particular like strident anti-white male tone. And the problem is, though, they've already created a deep hostility in their own base. And I don't know if they can just like right the ship so easily. And they want to do that by appealing to whiteness, but a whiteness that is effectively a progressive, Democrat-leaning, white liberal, female approved type of whiteness, which I don't really know what they mean by that. I don't know how that's supposed to look, but shout out to True Hype with the 5-ball. He says, Talarico actually tries to say his faith is why he supports baby deleting. I can't get jiggy with anything of the sort. And I think that's really the aim for Democrats trying to appeal to whiteness. They want to take control of the white male image and then ultimately the energy behind it and use that for their own good. Because without doing that, they really can't they can't really get enough bang for their buck out of the white vote. They're going to let the white vote just slip away if they don't manage to jump in front of it in some way and try to control it. And this is why a guy like James Talarico is an interesting character, especially to be like a young new figure on the campaign right now. He is a straight white male Christian, but he is effectively what I refer to as intellectually a homosexual. He's like a non-practicing homosexual, right? And what I mean by that is he has all the beliefs and he supports all of the things that are effectively antithetical to his Christian faith, right? But he believes all of these things and somehow wraps his Christian faith around his support for like homosexuality and like what True Hype was talking about, baby deletion, all that stuff, right? And so what they attempt to do with a character like that is to take a hold of your white maleness and then pervert it, hollow out your white maleness until it's just nothing but a shell. It's a white male skin suit, and you can put anything inside of it at that point. And that's what they're attempting to do with the new white male appeal that they're contemplating, at least for the moment. But shout out to True Hype with the 5-ball. Do me a favor, like, share, and subscribe. Do all the things, y'all. All the things, y'all.
Give me the money. Give me the money. But, oh, well, I would do it. Give me the money.
I guess there is something about James Talarico, the Texas Democratic nominee for Senate, that is sending Christian nationalists and MAGA allies into a total spiral. Ever since he won the primary, they've been increasingly obsessed with him, rambling about the young pastor and rising Democratic star on their podcasts and on their social media. It seems to be because Talarico does something that very few Democrats do. He speaks openly and unapologetically about how his Christian faith informs his moral and political views on everything from the treatment of immigrants and trans kids to the war with Iran. But some of these extremist pastors seem to think that Jesus belongs to the GOP alone. Last week, a podcaster with ties to Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth and his Christian nationalist church, Joshua Hames, took attacks on Talarico to a shocking new low in conversation with Hegseth's spiritual advisor. Watch this.
I pray that God kills him. Ultimately, that means killing his heart and raising him up to new life in Christ. That's
Oh, come on now. I would have respected it more if you didn't try to clean it up with the Bible. That was just really like kind of based, and then you just cleaned it up with the Bible. You get like minus 10 points for using the Bible to clean up how you really feel.
I pray that God kills him. Ultimately, that means killing his heart and raising him up to new life in Christ. That's the first thing.
We want him crucified with Christ.
That's exactly right.
I want him to be, I think, Saul of Tarsus, Talarico of Tarsus.
Yes,
That's what I want.
Whoa, crucified with Christ.
See, y'all so phony. This is why y'all don't get respect. You got to stand on it. It's like, I want him crucified. For real this time. Like, no, own that shit. Don't hit me with the in Minecraft cop-out.
Christ. After that clip went viral, Hames responded saying, quote, "Yes, to all those who promote and participate in child sacrifice and the sexual abuse of children, transgender ideology, I pray first for repentance." Even President Trump hasn't been able to help it because he put up a post on Truth Social, a diatribe about Talarico this morning. Quote, "He's got 6 genders, insults to Jesus, only vegan food, was wearing a mask in 2023 and 2024, and is a weak, ineffective guy who we allowed to win prior to releasing the avalanche of information we had on him." Joining us now to discuss is Christopher Mathias, a journalist covering the far right. He's the author of To Catch a Fascist, The Fight to Expose the Radical Right. So, Chris, so much to unpack there.
A lot to unpack.
Why do
He made it sound like To Catch a Predator or something. Like he's Chris Hansen, but for Republicans.
so many on the Christian right seem obsessed with Talarico, but also
Hamster
just
physiognomy
generally
is
with this
crazy.
project of defining, positioning Jesus, someone who was born to a Jewish family, his family fled persecution, who famously
Wait. Hold on. What was that last line? What was that last line about Talarico? I missed that part. I missed that line about Talarico. Maybe it's because I didn't have the volume up all the way enough. Let me run that line back.
Why do so many on the Christian right seem obsessed with Talarico, but also just generally with this project of defining, positioning Jesus, someone who was born to a Jewish family, his family fled persecution, who famously flipped over tables to fight on behalf of marginalized and poor people?
Yeah.
Did they just try to turn Jesus into an illegal immigrant, a violent illegal immigrant having a public outburst like on a bus or something? Did they just try to turn Jesus Christ into like an illegal nigga? No, don't. See, this is why we don't let the Democrats have hold of Jesus, man. We can't let y'all tell the story of Jesus. When you let the Democrats tell the story of Jesus, it always comes out gay and violent.
Or make him into like a Republican operative. What is that about?
Yeah, I think basically Talarico and the kind of Christianity he's espousing is a threat to kind of the cultural monopoly that the GOP wants to project over Christianity. They want to say that they have ownership of Christianity. And for someone like him to stand up and kind of take it back is scary for them. Not only, I think, from like an electoral strategy reason, right? Like peeling away Christian voters, but also for what his, professed Christianity represents. It's a very, I think we lose track sometimes of how, like you were just describing, how like really radical Christianity is. I grew up Christian, I'm pretty secular, I think agnostic these days.
And this is what's going to happen now. Because they already have like liberal, rainbow themed, progressive, I love the devil type churches or whatever. And they're going to make that the new Christian Democrat faith, right? Modern, progressive, gay Christianity is going to become the effective national faith of the Democrat Party.
But the Christianity I grew up with, bears no resemblance to what the GOP and MAGA and the, headsets are putting forward right now.
Can I give a counter argument?
Sure.
Because I grew up Southern Baptist and went to revivals, went to Bible school, went to the whole, there was plenty of crazy stuff being said then.
Oh, no, totally.
I don't know that, I feel like this is a different iteration of the same debates that have already been going on for thousands of years. When you have political leaders and movements trying to usurp religion for their own purposes. And so the way I see Talarico is this is
It's literally what the Democrats want to do, though. This is the whole reason why you have this, the modern progressive churches. And every modern progressive church is also heavily Democrat leaning. They're effectively like communication hubs for little individual localized Democrat regional organizations, right? This is what they have done to the faith anyway. It's basically politicized and progressive the church. They progressed the church right into the gay utopia.
Debate over Christian theology and what the belief system is. And he's saying, embrace trans kids, and he's interpreting the Bible that way.
Yeah.
And there's fundamentalist factions that say no, 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 and those nationalist factions that you heard on air.
Right. But I think the GOP narrative over Christianity has kind of been the loudest. And I think Talarico is trying to kind of reclaim the narrative about Christianity in popular culture.
Democrats have not made an argument that there is a Christianity that they can also use to take a moral high ground. A lot of Democrats obviously practice the faith and are Christian, but they don't use it politically in the same way that Republicans have.
Democrats have been kind of supporting the war on Christianity. Remember when we were all children and every winter people would say Merry Christmas, and then one day, for no reason at all, people started telling me Happy Holidays, and I was like, Merry Christmas. And they were like, yes, Happy Holidays to you too, boy. And I was like, okay, that's strange. The Democrats never really stood against that. The Democrats supported turning Christmas into a generic holiday about trees and shiny things on the tree. And so again, the Democrats have no problem taking your 1,000-year-old faith and making it modern and fake and gay. This is why Democrats believe they can make Muslims like progressive. Muslims might do a lot of gay shit, but they're not proud of it. The Democrats want them to be gay and proud.
Not to put words in your mouth, but that's how I interpret it. I see Republicans trying to use religion, as politicians do.
As they have really since, especially the early 80s with abortion being front and center.
Correct.
And so now...
And I have James Talarico who's saying like, hey, there's an alternative way to practice this faith.
I kind of wonder how much of this is about a genuine theological disagreement. I mean, I'm sure that the pastor that you featured believes what he believes, but how much of these attacks on Talarico are about like a genuine debate over theology versus like they are freaked out that this will actually be an effective way to get voters, right? Like they had, for just as an example, there was a Senate Republican tweet that quotes James Talarico saying, Christ is the immigrant deported without due process. Christ is the senior deprived of their Social Security benefits. Christ is the protester kidnapped in an unmarked vehicle by plainclothes officers. And Talarico re-upped that tweet, quote tweeted it, saying, I approve this message. Like he
Now, by equating Christ to an illegal immigrant is effectively giving a worshiping position to the illegal immigrant. We should now look to the illegal immigrant as a picture of worship and admiration, because it is not like the hardworking, quiet, tax-paying American citizen who's Christ-like. It's the illegal immigrant who just showed up here and desperately needs your support. He's Christ-like. This is the game that's being played. Tim Pool caught wind of this story too about the Democrats wanting their 2028 white man strategy to come out.
Space with a large political audience is just tell them exactly what they want to hear, which is what I think typically most liberals do. But you do have a lot of MAGA Trump supporters who don't want to be told that there is a major slip among moderates in their support for the president. And Democrats have developed a new strategy. They're literally going to target white Christian men, straight white Christian men. And this was entirely predictable. And I called it. You called it. Many people did. And you know what? It's a good thing. The Democratic Party is going to have to moderate. They're going to have to drop a lot of the wackaloon garbage if they're going to win over straight white Christian men. Which is exactly why they want James Talarico in Texas. Which means woke is broke, my friends. And we are seeing this shift that's going to split the Democrat and the Republican parties, kind of amongst themselves. This great battle that we're seeing where you got certain conservatives being like Trump should not be going to war. And
now, I don't know if the Democrats can actually make a real good play for so-called white straight Christian men. And it's for a very basic reason. Like the video we started out with, there is a huge and frankly hostile ethnic bloc, the POC bloc of the Democrat Party. You have to make you have to sell straight white Christian men to angry niggas now. And I don't know if you can do that. We're going to get to that in a minute.
The Epstein files and all that stuff, they're going to form a new faction where they begin to support Democrats. And it's going to be considered very weird, but over the next couple of years, we are going to see a market shift where you better believe it. Joe Rogan's probably going to come out and support some Democrats. You're going to see a bunch of moderates come out and support Democrats because these Democrats won't be wackaloon lefties. They won't be dorks like Beto O'Rourke. They're going to be regular working class people. They'll probably have a similar style to people like me, and they're going to say largely what many of the middle of the road people have been saying. We like our Republican friends. We're all friends with them. We don't want to fight. We disagree on a couple of things. We agree on most things. This is the path going forward. Straight white Christian men are breaking from Trump. They will go to Democrats if the Democrats purge the wackaloon left from their political parties. They got to get rid of the lefties. Now, what I will say is this. I said before, I will never vote for any of these Democrats, potentially new ones. My point is this. You think I'm going to get behind Adam Schiff? That ain't happening.
Oh, Tim, you aren't even a problem. You are not the, quote, wackaloon left, Tim. Let me show you the problem. This is who you really have to sell white men to. There's a lot of this in the Democrat base right now. And I don't know how you get this and white men at the same time.
You know what I'm thinking about today? I'm thinking about how there is, within the two big political parties that have all the power in this country, there's a white male problem. So just hear me out. The Republicans, let me start with the Republicans. The Republicans gave themselves over to the idea that all that matters in that party are white men. They only want white men in leadership. They only want to have issues that are exclusively focused on white men as part of their platform. And they only want white men speaking for them. Now, listen, I know there are other races within the Republican Party. And certainly there are white women, right? None of them matter. None. Not the white women. None of them matter. The only thing that matter to Republicans are Republicans. And insofar as something does matter besides white men in the Republican Party, it is the single largest demographic of people, white women, right? That part. Like they need those votes. They need those votes, but they know they can count on them because they've counted on them for 100 years. So, but they don't do anything for them. They don't care about them. Now, within the Democratic Party, the Democrats promote this, oh, there's a Big Tent. There's room for everybody. There is all the races, ethnicities, religious, non-religious, the entire sexual spectrum, new Americans, the whole deal. There's a Big Tent for everybody. But we just want to let you know that inside our Big Tent, over in that corner right there, is the leadership, and we want to keep that as white men. You all can come in, but these white men, that's who needs to be in charge.
Well, now the Democrats just said that same thing too, though. What are you going to do, bro? You already didn't like the Republicans because the Republicans said, hey, we got a lot of white men over here. They've been here a long time. That's their spot. You can't just take their spot. You weren't going to vote for the Republicans, no way. The Democrats said, hey, nigga, come here. I got a spot for you. Oh, you know what? Never mind. I need those white guys too now. Where are you going to go, bro? What are you really going to do?
That's the Democrats. And any time there's an anomaly, and that anomaly was Barack Obama and then Kamala Harris, and to a degree, Hillary Clinton. White men lose their minds. They lose their minds. And you get what you get right now. We have this phase of Donald Trump and the white men in the Democratic Party. They have fixed their minds that only white men can fix this and only white men can compete against Trump, and only white men should be elected to office anywhere in the country. Because only white men can talk to MAGA and win those votes. That's what they think. They have convinced themselves that they can win back MAGA, but to do it, they need white men to do it. Nobody else. Only white men can talk to white men. That's what they believe. And so they have spent
Wait a minute. Don't black people tell me that only black doctors can deliver black babies? Don't black people tell me that only black teachers can properly educate a black mind? What happened to that?
They have convinced themselves that they can win back MAGA, but to do it, they need white men to do it. Nobody else. Only white men can talk to white men. That's what they believe. And so they have spent the time since Trump stole the election from Kamala attacking non-white men in the Democratic Party running for office all over the country. And I'm just here to tell you, the country is not that way anymore. And if you want to shore up the base and to bring more people into the Democratic Party, you need to get over the idea that everything has to go through white men.
That's on my arc reactor, son. I put that on my arc reactor, son. White men can't just be hogging up all the glory no more. Arc reactors for everybody, nigga.
Non-white men in the Democratic Party running for office all over the country. And I'm just here to tell you, the country is not that way anymore. And if you want to shore up the base and to bring more people into the Democratic Party, you need to get over the idea that everything has to go through white men.
That's word to the arc reactor. Sick of all these white men always in charge, always running things. Every time I turn around, goddamn, Whitey's on the moon again.
You know, just continue the conversation I started in my last video, and it's the one that precedes this on whichever platform you're looking at, about the Democratic Party has a white male problem. And this isn't to bash white men, because white men vote for Democrats just like all the other demographics. But statistically, white men are the least loyal Democratic voter. Conversely, white men are the most loyal Republican voter. And so in the Democratic Party, if you ask yourself honestly, why should we as black voters trust you, a white man, to lead the Democratic Party? Why should we trust you?
And there it is. And that's what I've been trying to point out to you guys about the Democrats' problem appealing to the straight white Christian male. Even though in theory, they're going to use like the gayest white Christian male, air quote straight, that they can find. In practicality, all the other non-white people in the Democrat Party are going to be like, who this cracking? Why you put him in front of me? And it's not going to go well, bro. They're just not going to be happy with it. Now he's literally like, convince me why I should let you be in charge. Like, nigga, you ain't in charge. What do you mean convince you? Who are you, bro? You are not in charge. That's not your chair. That chair belongs to Michael T. Whiteman.
Like, what have you done? Because this is a relationship. What have you done to earn trust from us? Like, we can't say, well, since 1965, white men and white women have voted majority Republican. We can't say that. We know that that's a fact. Since the 60s. And we know that the most loyal Democratic voter.
And then look at this other level of the betrayal, right? Black people have been the most loyal Democratic voting bloc. And now we're going to be replaced by Latinos numerically. And all of your pimp juice is going to pour right into the white man cup. They're going to pour all of your black pimp juice into the white man's cup. That is some cold political game right there. That is just cold, evil politics right there. The Democrats, by the way, the Republicans didn't do this to you. The Republicans don't even want to touch your black vote. The Democrats are going to take all of your black vote, pour it into the white man's pimp cup.
This makes Jim Crow look like Jim Eagle.
Are black women, right? And black men. And so if you're in the party and you say, well, but you should lead, you think you should lead, you should be in charge, we ought to do what you say. Why would we do that? What in our interest, what in our history tells us that that's the right course for us?
And shout out. Let me read these super chats real quick. Shout out to my man Jesse Lee with the $2. They need him on that wall. US. Big facts, y'all. I've been playing this. I'm never going to drop this clip. I need to actually touch this clip up.
You want me on that wall. You need me on that wall.
Shout out to the white man. The Democrats finally remembered where you live. White people, today is your day. The Democrats finally remembered your address.
We're the whites. Nobody ever cares if bad things happen to us anymore.
And then shout out to my man True Hype with the 20 ball. Miss me with all that MAGA stuff when all orange man is a 90s Democrat. Where was dude in the rest of the country? Where was dude in the rest when the country was closed cause of the bug? How we need to get down or lay down for the rainbow and Queen Story Hour was going down. Listen, that's the Democrat game, bro. That's the game. You have to be a simp for something, bro. If you're going to be a man and a Democrat, you're going to have to simp for something. That's it. Black men, black men been Democrats for so long. Black men have been used to simping. It's not even a big deal no more.
There's this myth out there that black men can't handle being spoken to, and told what to do by black women. Black men come from our bodies.
Yeah.
So they're used to having these conversations with women.
The matriarchy is strong with the black
It is
community.
very strong.
And the True Hype with another foul ball. All orange men do is activate a bunch of folks that normally don't vote, mostly as a wrench in the system, middle finger. I think a lot of the black votes, especially black men, they either didn't vote out of dissatisfaction or outright protest, or they went flat out to the right wing out of dissatisfaction and outright protest. And either way, that's a kill shot for the Democrat Party. And they don't really need another kill shot going forward. But shout out to my man True Hype. Let me drop the big number for you.
It costs a lot of money to bring the real. And with this, I dress myself in cashmere. I dress myself in $100 Cleveland flags. I dress myself in alligator shoes. I wear a $15,000 Rolex. I got Mercedes-Benz, Rolls-Royce, the biggest house on the biggest deal. Yeah, we don't care. I got Mercedes-Benz, Rolls-Royce, the biggest house on the biggest deal. Yeah, we don't care.
And so when you're listening to these pundits, these big accounts on all these platforms, the people that show up on cable news, all those consultants and those people that write all those articles and stuff, and so many of them are white because you guys run this country, you have the most power. But then you tell us we should just listen to you. We should just do what you say. We shouldn't. Black people in Texas should support Jasmine Crockett. She can't win, they say, as white men have been losing for 30 years there. Or we have to run a white man in 2028 because only a white man can fix and save this country. Only a white man can talk to MAGA. We have to win back MAGA, but only a white man can do that. And you haven't won MAGA since the Democrats haven't won the white male vote since the 60s. But yet you continue to tell us that only you can save this. Carter didn't win the white male vote. Clinton didn't win it. Obama didn't win it. Hillary didn't win it. Biden didn't win it. Kamala didn't win it. But yet in this party, you tell us only you can do this. You are brainwashed. You are propagandized to believe that you're the savior and everyone else should be subservient to you. Our voices and our votes should be subservient to yours. And you know what? Nah, those days are over and we're not going back to that.
Like I said, the Democrats, if they want to make a play for the straight white Christian male vote, they have to basically go to war with half their base, man. They're going to have to go to war with the blacks, the Latinos, the gays, a lot of angry white women. It's going to be a lot of angry white women you're going to have to fight your way through.
I'm going to say one more thing about the white men in the Democratic Party, because I've been talking about this today because it's on my mind. Look at my prior two videos or whatever platform you're looking at this video on. And that is this. If you look at it like a relationship, I briefly mentioned that in my last video. White men in the Democratic Party are telling us, all the rest of us, every other constituency, just stay home.
You know what? I think you might be right, Dirty Folks. He looks at it like he's in a relationship with white men because he probably has experience about that. He's probably pondered that quite often in his free time, you know, wondering what it would be like to be in an abusive relationship with a white man. That's the kind of shit he probably thinks about. Dirty Folks, I think you called it.
I'm going to say one more thing about the white men in the Democratic Party, because I've been talking about this today because it's on my mind. Look at my prior two videos or whatever platform you're looking at this video on. And that is this. If you look at it like a relationship, I briefly mentioned that in my last video. White men in the Democratic Party are telling us, all the rest of us, every other constituency, just stay home, phone bank, fundraise, vote. In the meantime, we're going to leave and we're going to try to go get these men who have caused all the problems that's happening in this country because they look just like us. And we think they're going to listen to us. That's what they're telling us. They're telling us that the men who did January 6th, the men who are all up in those files, the men who have ruined the economy, who have sicked ice on all of us, the men who have ruined the Western Alliance, the men who have turned the Western Hemisphere into a mess, that somehow the
white man is responsible for everything. I got out of bed this morning and I stubbed my toe on the side of the bed. It was the white man's fault. When I sat down on the toilet this morning, it wasn't no roll of toilet paper on it wasn't no toilet paper on the roll thingy. It was the white man's fault. I got in the shower. I went to squeeze some body wash on my little loofah thing. There wasn't more body wash in my little shower thing. I had no more body wash. It was the white man's fault. Everything is the white man's fault. Tried to get an Uber. All the Ubers were taken because they were driving white people around.
white men in the Democratic Party, they can go and save those men. Even though all the polls are telling them those men and women still overwhelmingly support what that man in the White House is doing. They are delusional. They are just as delusional as those white men that started all that 4chan, Pizzagate, all that stuff that turns out it was them all along. But the white men in the Democratic Party, and I'm including the pundit class and the consultant class, and all these guys on these big old platforms that are using and expending energy telling all the rest of us that the only way we can win is if we let these white men in the Democratic Party go fishing over in the Republican pool and bring back some fish. That's what they think. They have no proof. They have no proof. White men and women have voted majority Republican since the 1960s. But this generation of white men think that they can get them back. And look, it's not just white men who are centrists, it's white men who are leftists too. It's y'all too. Y'all think that if you can run and be in control of the Democratic Party, and if the people of color and the black folk just sit back and let y'all run everything will be okay. You just like MAGA. And the ones who are not leftists, the centrists and the Democrats on the right and the pundit class and consultant class, you just think that you should be in charge because MAGA on the other side is people that look like you who are in charge. And so you're over here salivating like we should be like the MAGA, just run everything. So it's been on my mind today because if the Democratic Party is going to move forward, it has to move forward with the understanding that all the rest of us are not beholden to just following the lead and following the direction and orders of white men. We have equal voices and equal votes. And
he doesn't want to be held down, tied up like a hostage, and forced to take commands from this giant, racist, aggressive, hostile white man just breathing all his white breath down the back of his neck. Now, listen, I'm telling you, these guys have a very, very thinly veiled pseudo-sexual racial kink about the white people. At this point, I cannot separate it in my mind. These people who constantly think that the white man is out to get them, this is very much like the Handmaid's Tale thing, where like women who read fantasies about being oppressed, about being taken over by a powerful, dominant man. That's exactly how a lot of these like modern, progressive, black, like race hustle people talk. Like they sound as if they have a latent, repressed sexual desire to be like, they want to fight the white man. They want to resist, but they know they're going to be overwhelmed. They know that no matter how much I fight this mean old white man, he's just going to take advantage of me no matter what I do. I'm a victim. And then he flicks his bean and he gets off to the shit.
Our country together.
I want to bring in Basil Smikle, Democratic strategist and MS Now political analyst. He's also the former executive director of the New York State Democratic Party. Welcome, my friend.
Thank you.
Cory Booker, he ran in 2020. He exited the race because of low polling numbers. How do you think Democrats would feel about his prospect this time around? What's changed for him potentially?
Well, first of all, I think the fact that he went through a primary is important because now you sort of have that
like
muscle.
Experience?
Yeah, experience, but now you have that muscle. Running primaries, running in a primary is actually really important. It sharpens your elbows. It gives you the sort of a view of the race as opposed to just kind of being elevated. We love for people to run through the primary because it does make you feel tested. And, you know, to his credit, he's always with right.
According to Axios, there are some Democrats who are certainly openly debating about their best chances to win, all right, in 2028. To put up potentially a straight white Christian man as the nominee. Is that trauma, Basil, from Kamala Harris? Is it something else at play? Is it trying to just mirror what they anticipate would be the GOP candidate?
I've heard this comment a lot about what the country needs, and part of me scoffs at it because it's like, yeah, we need a white man to come save us. Like, I hate hearing that.
Yeah.
But
there's always the but. You know what they tell you? Everything before but was some bull. So tell me how the straight white Christian man is going to save your Democrat Party.
Else at play? Is it trying to just mirror what they anticipate would be the GOP candidate?
I've heard this comment a lot about what the country needs, and part of me scoffs at it because it's like, yeah, we need a white man to come save us. Like, I hate hearing that.
Yeah.
But I remember back 20, 30 years ago, one of my mentors, Bill Lynch, who worked for Jesse Jackson, Walter Mondale, Nelson Mandela, political strategist who was DNC vice chair, talked about in a post-Jesse Jackson environment how you get the country to support a Southern Democrat like Bill Clinton. And the issue there is not that different from what we have today and what Cory Booker talked about. There's a new Democratic coalition being formed, and somebody young and representative of that coalition really does need to, it will be put forward and should find a way to kind of embrace this new coalition that will be across the aisle and will include a lot of independent voters. That's really important. And that person, if that person is young, should not be shunned. Right. And I think that's also a comment about the age of our.
Would that person, the youthful candidate, have to do what Cory Booker, to your answer?
And he got to be young, too. He has to be straight, white, Christian, male, and young. He can't be like 68 years old. He has to be like 44, 45, 50 years old.
Earlier did in 2020 have to go through the, getting through the muscle of the primary. So it wouldn't be necessarily a seriously taken candidate, like you're paying your dues this time, figuring out how to do it.
Well, listen, if I'm looking at Zohar Mamdani, who a lot of people counted out, he went through a very tough primary against a really established Andrew Cuomo and won. Now, New York is not the rest of the country, no question about it. But I do think that there is a hunger for a change and a generational change change in ideology, but also a generational change in our politics that a lot of voters are really looking for. And if that person runs in the primary, if they come out, I think, really great chance at winning a general election.
How revealing do you think candidates should be? And I ask this because we've seen a lot of former Chicago Mayor Rahm Emanuel, also former chief of staff in the White House, and he got really emotional about his life and things that have bothered him, things about his father who protested a Nazi rally. Let's quickly play, if we have the time, him kind of breaking down on this.
Sure.
My father doesn't want me to go.
Rahm Emanuel? Please tell me the Democrats are going to run Rahm Emanuel as a white man. I would love for them to run that one. Run Rahm Emanuel as a white man. I dare you. I double dog dare you. Run Rahm Emanuel as a white man while we're still at war with Iran. I would love to see how that works out for you guys. Do that. Please do that.
And I said to him that, I said, well, I said, that's not up to you. I'm going. And in my dad's greatness, he says, you're a schmuck. And he got his keys and I said, we'll go down to Market Peck.
Where does the word like schmuck come from? It's like Yiddish.
Not alone. You've had emotional displays from J.B. Pritzker, from Gavin Newsom as well, about personal issues and things they've experienced. How does that kind of thing play? Because if you're looking for that strong guy that's going to follow in the path of Donald Trump, a lot of people love the strength that they thought he portrayed.
Yeah.
Hey, shout out to Gecko Sonic with the 5-ball. He said the first real black president will be Byron Donalds. I don't hate Byron Donalds. He's not my favorite guy, but I ain't hate. I'm not gonna pick on Byron. I think James Fitchback. I like how James Fitchback was trolling him. He basically said, Byron Donalds, you're not a real nigga. But shout out to my man Gecko Sonic with the 5-ball, y'all.
I need that money.
Does this work?
Make it straight, make it plain. You can connect to your emotional past and show emotion and empathy on the campaign trail, but voters are going to want you to push back. Another quick thing that voters are going to want you to do is talk about the kind of reclamation that needs to take place. Look at everything that's been lost, taken away from us, out of libraries, out of schools.
Yeah.
That has to be addressed on the campaign trail as well. And you can do that with empathy.
Indeed. Basil Smikle, thank you, my friend. We'll see you again very soon. Meantime,
See, they want their white man to be like warm and empathetic and I love the gays. My wife is black. Oh no, my wife is Indian, wink wink. They want the white man to be like a new modern version of the white man. Not that racist white guy, none of those white guys from like the 50s and the 40s or whatever. We want a new progressive POC friendly white man. Let me wrap this one up. Let me take it over to Matt Walsh.
Well, good news, because I said that was good news, but then we ended up focusing on the part of it that isn't so good. So this part is good. So Axios has this. Some top Democrats are quietly debating a fraught question whether the party's best bet for winning back the presidency in 2028 is to nominate a man, perhaps a straight white Christian man. The fear divulged with dismay in group chats at cocktail parties and increasingly in public is that parts of the electorate are too biased to support a woman or other diverse candidate for president. So this makes me happy. This is the good news, is that our opponents, kind of like bringing it back full circle to the beginning, our opponents are so dumb. They're so dumb and they're learning all the wrong lessons. And that's fantastic. They go out and find the two least likable women on the entire planet, the two most viscerally unappealing members of the female sex. They run them. And then when nobody likes them, they conclude that nobody will ever vote for a woman or a minority at all. So they have to just run a white man. And somehow they conclude this even after Barack Obama already won the presidency twice. A majority of Americans voted for a non-white person twice already recently. But the fact that Kamala Harris, a woman who can't speak, a woman with the charisma and intelligence of a plastic bag, the fact that she lost means that nobody who isn't white and isn't male can ever win.
You know what, Matt? I feel like you should just take the win, bro. You should just be like stroking your beard like, well. Why are you complaining? Why are you complaining that the Democrats are still being woke, but they're just being woke about white people this time? Who cares, bro? Take the win. Just stroke your beard and take the win, bro. White people are in style again, bro. This is the moment you've been waiting for. This is the moment you've been growing your beard for, bro. Take the win.
That's great. I mean, it really is indicative of how people think these days. You know, this is like the internet brain. So somebody does something, Barack Obama wins the presidency, black guy wins. Then a few years later, a black woman loses, and they go, oh, well, I guess that means a black person could never win. So they draw.
Yes, Matt. If I was Matt Walsh in this moment, I would be like, hey, well, I'm just saying, man, it's going to be pretty hard for you. Why can't you just take the win, Matt? Why can't you just say, hey, you know, he white, he got to be right. You know what I mean? This would be a perfect time for you to lean into it.
Sweeping generalized conclusions based on whatever the most recent personal anecdotal experience was. It's like a version of the thing you see online all the time. Like, for example, I was complaining about the air travel thing on X. This woman responds and I'm not lying. This is what she says. I'm not kidding. I'm talking about my own experience. And she says, Matt is lying. My husband flies all the time and he says it's fine. So the fact that I had a bad experience is disproven by the fact that her husband had a good experience. The fact that no, you're lying. That didn't happen to you because this other thing over here happened to this person I know.
You know what's really interesting about this moment? Matt Walsh in particular has like really come around toward like the plight of white men and white people in America. If you watch Matt's content, I once upon a time, I was going to do a show about this. Matt Walsh has become like the defender of like safe white guy positions, you know? He's not like an extreme right wing, far right white guy, but you know, he realizes that there is some pressure on his team. And now when you finally have your moment, when the Democrats are finally starting to buckle, you're like, wait, no, not like that.
And there's no way that two different things happened. There's no way that in the world, two experiences were different and happened around the same time. That's not possible. So it's a little bit of that. It's kind of the same mentality going on. And some of it, let's face it, some of it's a female phenomenon. It's partly internet brain. It's partly female brain. It's a real thing. You know, women think more in terms of personal, immediate relational experience than general data sets. They do. And that's why you see this all the time where you go, you know, you say like, here's a thing that's generally true. And then a woman will respond and say, no, I'm personally familiar with someone who that doesn't apply to. And therefore it's not true. So you say,
you would think Matt would be like taking a moment of ironic glee out of this, a little bit of schadenfreude or something like that. Like watching one of your enemies step on the rake is always enjoyable. How is it not? When is it never?
Like men are generally stronger than women. And a woman says, oh yeah, my cousin beat a guy in arm wrestling last Tuesday. Okay. There's nothing to do. This does not at all call into question what I just said. So there's some of that going on. It's a little different, but it's a similar phenomenon.
You said Matt likes the result. He's just mad at how you got there. This really does look odd for you, Matt. As much as you've been going hard for white people and white men, you know, slavery wasn't the worst thing to ever happen to black people. Slavery was a global institution. The white man ended slavery. You know, that was Matt Walsh like last month. Did a whole like real history of why the white man is not bad because of slavery and all that. And I'm not even mad at him about that, but like I would think you'd be a little bit happier about this right now. You would just be like stroking your beard with glee right now. Like, look at these niggas crawling back to me. I knew you'd come crawling back, you know?
Anyway, the point is, this is the wrong lesson, but I'm glad they're learning the wrong lesson. And what that means is that we are in for another Tim Walz cringe fest. Not him specifically, but a Tim Walz style cringe fest campaign that unlike anything we've seen before.
Yes, Matt, that's what we want. That's what we want. That's how you put the final nail in the Democrat coffin. When they hit peak white liberal male, you'll know they're dead. We have to get the Democrats to reach peak white liberal male. And the only way they're going to do it is by faking being a straight white Christian male. That's how it's going to work. They're going to look for a straight white Christian male guy, but he's going to be like secretly a twink and it's all going to come out. It's going to be too hard. It's going to be shocking. That he can't like maintain the facade or whatever. We need the Democrats to just go all the way until they crumble internally.
Because remember, they already tried this. They already tried their version of appealing to voters with a straight white Christian male, even though Tim Walz actually does not fulfill at least 2 of those 4 conditions. But anyway, they tried, and now they're going to try again. And they're going to pander even harder. They're going to have Gavin Newsom in overalls with a long piece of like grass in his mouth, holding a banjo at a NASCAR race in a straw hat,
drinking a beer with Dylan Mulvaney. That's exactly. It's going to have all the typical white straight male hallmarks, and then it's going to be like some type of nod to the gays. Because they can't help themselves.
Shotgunning Natty Lights, listening to like Toby Keith or something. You cannot begin to imagine the cringe that we're about to all witness. A cringe storm is brewing, and it's going to be hilarious. Let's be honest about it.
Storm is brewing. I like the sound of a cringe storm. If I could choose like a superpower, I might choose a cringe storm. Just alter the atmosphere with like incredible amounts of cringe. Be a really weird, ironic superpower. Shout out to True Hype with the 5 ball. He says, maybe it just feels like an empty victory because his opponents are terrible and dumb, which makes him extremely sad, almost defeated. You know, I can relate to that. This is why I complain about the Chitlin circuit sometimes, because like I often long for better opponents, you know. Opponents make the man. You know, your enemies make you to some degree. And I want better enemies so I can be better.
The Democrats lost with Hillary Clinton, the least likable, least relatable person who has ever lived. Truly. And then they went off of the earth and they went to outer space and they found someone who's actually somehow worse. They found some creature from a galaxy 1 billion light years away who can't even speak like a human.
My bad, but shout out to True Hype with the 5 ball. Thank y'all for supporting the show. Like, share, and subscribe. The Democrats are bringing white people back, y'all.
We're the whites. Nobody ever cares. We're the whites. Nobody ever cares if bad things happen to us anymore.
And I want to understand white rage, and I'm white.
And they lost with her too. And their conclusion is that racism and sexism is what doomed their campaigns. Basically, you know what it's like? It's like they hired a woman to stand outside at a concession stand selling big gulp cups full of Drano to drink. They hired a woman to sell cups of Drano. They went to like a ball game and people were buying hot dogs and beer and stuff. And they set up a concession stand and they said, hey, get your Drano here. Drink it down. We got a pint of Drano. And everybody looked at them and was like, what? What are you selling? Drano? I want to drink that. Gross.
You know, the Democrats are just going to have to deal with this problem going forward because in a lot of ways, they've pushed themselves into this lonely corner. They've created this monster. For the next generation or so, all the coolest white guys, by modern definitional terms, not by objective standard, but by modern progressive terms, all the coolest white guys going forward are going to be a little bit racist, a little bit toxic, a little bit Christian, a little bit nationalistic. Might have bullied a kid or two in high school, you know. Might have cheated on a girlfriend once or twice, you know. They're gonna be guys with guy histories and guy resumes, and the Democrats have effectively chased all those guys out of Democrat polite life, right? You can't be a guy's guy and be generally accepted in polite Democrat society. And the Democrats have done this to themselves. They have backed themselves into that corner where you can't just be normal anymore. And you're actually at a place where if you're a straight white man who is, for whatever reason, still operating in a Democrat culture, you pretty much have to like out crazy the crazies now, which is a whole other skill set that's difficult to master, you know?
In our last talk, and I think you can say restroom.
Oh, okay.
But looking at the bigger picture of this.
Oh, I don't know if you can say the B word.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why?
Big.
Oh.
And there's just like a lot of history behind that. Like the proud activist Lizzo, she like worked tirelessly to like kind of like deplatformize that word.
Oh.
Yeah. So yeah. So maybe use like substantial.
You know what? I think I'm gonna write that down real quick.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, just circling back to this.
I don't know if you can use the shape circle. It's again like triggering to a lot of people. Like even like come on, like people aren't shapes. Like let's not use shapes. Let's abandon shapes.
You're right.
Yeah.
You're teaching me things every single day. Wow, thank you so much. But yeah, I also wanted to say thank you for like seeing this and I'm overlooking this.
Oh, I don't know if you can use overlooking because again back to the whole blind people, like they don't really like they don't like less appropriating their
we want to be respectful.
Yeah.
Not using that terminology. I'm gonna keep this in mind and yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you. So can I go back to my lunch now?
Yeah, it's okay. Thank you for having this conversation.
Sometimes you're just gonna have to put on your gay accent and outwoke the HR lady. Just look her right in the eyes and go woke for woke with her until she backs down. That's it. That's what you're gonna have to do. And the Democrats are just realizing that the jig is up. We got to figure out a new way to play this game.
Who is the Democrat that you see who can carry the flag into 2028? Kamala Harris?
No.
AOC?
No.
Rahm Emanuel?
To win the Democratic nomination, you have to ask yourself two really important questions. One, can you raise a lot of early money? The second question you have to ask yourself, who can walk into a black fish fry in South Carolina, a black church? Now, they can be nice. They're very polite people.
Yeah.
But who is going to get...
Man. That's who. That's who, man. A white man. Come on, James. You know the answer to this. Bill Clinton.
The second question you have to ask yourself, who can walk into a black fish fry in South Carolina, a black church? Now, they can be nice. They're very polite people.
Yeah.
But who is going to get them to hum and sway? If I had to say one guy, if I were like betting the Kentucky Derby and I saw this 12-1 horse and I said, yeah, I want to get a price, I'd take J.B. Pritzker.
Do J.B. Pritzker make you niggas hum? Any black people in the chat, I want to ask you, does J.B. Pritzker make your black ass hum and sway? When J.B. Pritzker start talking, do you start rocking from side to side like, The old lady in the back like, where? Does JB Pritzker make you niggas hum?
Really? Why?
Well,
not Kamala
first of all,
Harris? She's
no,
black.
She has no chance.
Why not?
Because no Democrat wants anything to do with anybody that had anything to do with 2024.
So Kamala Harris can't get the black community to sway and hum?
No, cannot. No. And the other thing is, and this is the best.
That is true. Niggas was not humming for Kamala. No matter how hard you tried, no matter how much you bully niggas, niggas was not humming for Kamala. Wasn't happening.
News for Democrats that a party can possibly have.
Yeah.
Just win. They don't. If we nominate 2 white males, no one's going to give a shit.
And there it is. I'm telling you, that's James Carville. He's like one of the last practical Democrat strategists out there. And he's trying to let the Democrats know, listen, for the next couple of elections, you're going to have to bet on white. I know you saw that movie with with Wesley Snipes a long time ago, always bet on black. Yeah, it was a cool line of the movie, but that's not how this is really going to play out. You're going to have to start betting on white now. It's just the way it is. We're going to wrap this one up. Thank you guys for watching. Like, share, and subscribe. But as we get out of here, I want to play it out. I'm going to play this video out with a tribute to the white guys. I found a very white-coded video that I think would be a great closing video for the show today. Please like, share, and subscribe. Do all the things, please. Throw $1 in the hat while you're still here. And shout out to the white guys out there. Shout out to all the white men out there. The Democrats finally remembered you guys.
And I want to understand white rage, and I'm white.
Everyone's wondering why I'm not allowed to go to the store. About a year and a half ago, I built a cabin on federal land in Oregon, lived there for about 7 months, and then got busted. I cleaned up the site, paid the fines. I'm banned from about 13 different lakes in Oregon, but after that, I got a completely clean slate. I moved to New Mexico in the mountains, 8,500 feet elevation, with 1 month left of summer, with the goal to build a cabin and live in it through the winter. It's now getting to the end of winter, and I'm not satisfied with the difficulty level of that challenge. So next winter, with only 2 years of bushcraft experience, no gardening experience, no hunting experience, no water collection experience, I'm going to try to live off the land with just the tools I've accumulated over the last year and the buildings that I've built in the last 6 months. I have all spring and summer to prepare, and I'm going to do my best to make it happen. Wish me luck. Follow to see if Will survives. Willie leveling up. I bought a pump, and I may or may not be pumping water from the creek into there. My trees are planted too close together. Fruits are doing all right. I didn't know they were 4-packs, so I accidentally ordered 40 strawberries. Also accidentally ordered 16 tomato plants and 16 pepper plants, but I guess that can't hurt. I also got to grow about 85 billion potatoes if I want to survive next winter. Actually, just about 200 to 300. The pups are happy and large and growing still. And they like bones, big bones. Workstation and cabin looking beautiful. All this is about to turn green, guys. Be ready. You can already start to see the green popping up. Ducks and chickens are coming in a week, so I need a coop. It's also time to start catching fishies and rabbits, so I got to get the smoker done. So many things to do. But Will survives, baby. Guys, also TikTok's gonna get banned, dude. Just go subscribe to my YouTube page. TikTok, I have terrible news. You know how the bear ate my basketball? Or mountain lion? I don't know. Well, he came back. He came back. Whatever animal it is, it also likes to dig holes. It dug this hole for some reason. Ripped up my plastic. What a freaking mean guy. But the worst part about it is I had my game camera covered up by my shirt. Oh, I didn't get any footage, and I don't even know for real. And I got to buy another basketball, and I'm a little scared now because bro keeps coming back to my camp and messing with. I'm definitely going to be facing these a little closer now. I need my roof to be strong in case it walks on top, and I'm definitely going to be building a fence around the perimeter. Really hoping it's a bear. Bear, I'm not that scared of. I could scare a black bear away, but it's not making any tracks. And I think I have been hearing a big cat at night. I'm going to start peeing everywhere and cutting my hair, spreading it around. I live in the woods. I got nobody to talk to, and there's so many bugs. So you find me, yell at the gnats. I also eat so many canned peaches, and you guys wouldn't believe how much dirt I'm moving. You can basically holes. I'm glad that you guys like my dog house. I got to figure out some type of drainage. I did dirt because they like dirt. They like moving it around and finding fresh dirt. I don't know why, but bam, some of you guys didn't like. They're bigger than me, and they're mountain dogs, and this ain't even that bad of a jump, so they should be out. The kitchen is staying dry with all of the rain that's going down, and my house is too, and their dog bed is too. Creek is flowing. That's great to see. Also, the chickens are doing great. I've been leaving the door open for them in the day. They like going outside. They like hanging out inside. They do what they want, and they eat food and stuff. It's winter time. I've been getting a little bit chubby, and I live in that thing. This is my kitchen. Woo-hoo. Oh, it's 7 degrees outside, but it's 46 in here because I got this freaking stove going, my dude. Got some wood stacked, got some power over yonder. I eat. This is where I cook and such. And you know what I'm saying? Upstairs is fully insulated, and that's where I sleep. If you just head on in this freaking little door right here, you're going to find where I lay my head. This is my kick-it spot. I've got my stovepipe right there. It stays about the same temperature in here as it does downstairs because this isn't as hot as the stove, but I've got a little feet warmer, man. Patrick built my homes 3 times. Peace out. Peace out. I'm gonna go off on the lamb, get some big ass dogs, some lambs.
Aspiring to be patriarchs like what white men have, that isn't freedom. That isn't going to help anybody. It's certainly not going to help black people.
It's done. It's done. It's done. It's done. It's done.